Yeah, what up, party people? It's your boy Hakeem Green, channel live and direct. BDP all day, every day, all we do. Bar Mad Ism. You on the Mad Ism TV show with your boy Hakeem Green. This is round two for today's activity. We just left a wonderful conversation with Mayor Raj J. Baraka of Newark, New Jersey. And we went really, really deep on a lot of different issues, but we were able to really put Dr. Martin Luther King in context in terms of his work during the civil rights movement and how that's kind of opened up a lot of doors in electoral politics all around the country on a local level and the national level. So we were able to talk about some of those things. And you can find that on the Madism page. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. You know what it is. We rocking. This is round two, though. And we got my homies. I got this hashtag called hip hop body rap, and it's a whole lane within hip hop culture, hip hop journalism, which is really hip hop nobody rapping. So this is going to be a dope conversation with two of the legends of that whole element, hip hop journalism. Got Grouchy Greg, and hopefully soon Chuck Creekmur pop in here. We'll bring him in, right? But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put up a video. What is Madism? What is a Madism? Off the Madism album, Hakeem Green featuring KRS-One General Steel. That'll give us some time to invite people to the building, invite people to the room. So I'm gonna ask everybody out there watching right now to share, hit subscribe, hit like, bring some people in the building. In the next 4 minutes, we're gonna have a tremendously hip-hop conversation with AllHipHop's Grouchy Greg and Chuck Creekmur. All right, y'all know what it is. Let me pop on over here and set this up. Get this rocking.
Culturally, there has been a war waged against cannabis. Culturally, we dealt with different herbs, different plants, different foods that have over time become illegal.
When you invade a place for its resources, you wipe out the indigenous population. Right now, we are being colonized.
Today, you're going to meet some of the people who are former employees of our United States government. People who have looked at this over the years and was sad. Whether it was conspiracy or not, they don't want to talk about it. But did the CIA know the drugs are coming into the United States of America and help it get here? The answer to the question is yes. Tell them how we do it. Bad things a lot. It's a mean to pop. We gon' keep it moving, means we won't ever stop. Mary Jane reefer, weed, ganja, cannabis sativa, turned from marijuana. Smoked by the earliest man with no trauma. Smoked by the lawyers and judges, yes, your honor. Smoked by the Hindus and ancient Dalai Lamas. Smoked by the popes and early church fathers. Before the crack got him, before the crack gets him. Herb was the word, your man, you laughed with him. Sparked madism and got glad with him. Then in 85, bam, the crack hit him. Whole neighborhoods, damn, that did them. The worst that got hit for real was black women. So the split of the joint, the people got back with them. It was madism versus crackism. The crackism lost the war to black wisdom. When the black wisdom returned to burning-ism, black men and women were living in bad prisons. So when it comes to legalization, what's your position? Was the smack, 85 was the crack. Night living bass heads, we said crack is whack. In the jungle with my brothers, found out black was black. In 95, madism, yo, Chris, pass that back. Got 5 on the 20, you can pass that hat. If you ain't got no money, can you at least snatch that rat? I'll be in the maze like days when I heard some haze, got some grades, some blaze, and full bird. I'm down by law, in fact, 885, so I always got the IZM intact. Shadow live, let me light you fires, industrial pimp. Feeling like a slave, bro, industrial hemp. Let's bash the system, crash on classism, in the war on drugs, we fight back with madism. Reap what I know, you reap what you sow. So when you plant the ism, get to keep what you grow. It gets deep with no snow. Just say no to the coke boy and yes to the dro. 17 a pound, let's get that dough. Get mad with the ism, fire up and let it glow. Like the tetrahydrocannabinol, live wire, saliva lava, stamina strong, hard bars, yarn and jaws, hammer and palm, Smith and Wesson on the handle if the cannons involved. I'm a fucking rude boy, manners is gone, spark a ball, fuck the law, I don't care what they saw, smoke some ganja with Obama, pass Kush the Bush, hit a split for Bill Clinton while listening to Sam Cooke, look. The war on drugs was really designed to lock more poor folks up. All the policies are fallacies. I'm speaking to the leaders. I ask you what's the real crime? Cheap in a sense of media. Brothers congregate on corners, catching misdemeanors. Politicians profit, pushing pills to kids and seniors. Yeah, I'm a dreamer just like King was. Martin Luther sparking Buddha blazing Sicilinia.
CIA is the king, the Don. The CIA is the king, the Don, the king, the Don, the Don, the king.
My brothers, my brothers, my brothers.
Peace.
What's up? Salute.
Salute to you guys.
What's good?
Oh, bro, I'm riding high right now. I can't even front and I ain't even smoke no weed. I just we gonna say?
I was gonna say I love that intro, man.
Oh yeah. I just had Mayor Roz Baraka on right before you guys, and I got an hour of his time to really get into some things, and so I'm riding high off of that conversation, and to be going from that to an interview with you guys, to me is kind of awesome for the Madison TV platform. It's been a great day today. But with that said, I got it rolled and ready, so I'm gonna light this up while we, while we get into it. Now,
with the mayor though,
did
you do that with the mayor though?
No, I didn't do that with the mayor.
Yeah.
Nah. I punked out. I wouldn't want to put him in a bad light, even though in Jersey cannabis is legal. Salute to New Jersey, all the legislators who made it happen in New Jersey.
New Jersey weed man.
The New Jersey weed man, yeah, he been putting it down for years, taking all the risks. Big shout out to Game Face, my man Robert H. Moore Jr., Growing Farms. There's a bunch of folks out there that's been really putting it down in the cannabis world. But with the Madison platform, though I smoke, ism is about, racism, sexism, fascism, all the different isms that kind of impact our lives. So we can have more of a more serious take on the ism when we do, come together and build. Now, with you guys over at AllHipHop.com, I just want to, first really give you the salutation, say thank you guys for really investing in hip hop culture. I've known you guys probably since like the late 90s, and to see your vision go from just a vision to a real thing, to really a representative of hip hop culture, is I think a beautiful thing to see. And I have this hashtag hip hop nobody rapping, and I would like both of you to kind of expound on that concept of hip hop nobody rapping. Greg?
Well, if I hear it correct, for me, it's participating in all of the various elements that, encompass hip hop, so, you don't have to be an MC, in order to understand or be a part of hip hop culture. At this point, hip hop touches, you know, it's exploded into everything. You know, hip hop almost is everything. And in, you know, our world, Chuck and I's world, hip hop is everything, from the way we talk to the way we dress, you know, almost right down to the way we eat, you know, in terms of hip hop influencing us to eat healthy. You know, we just interviewed, you know, your guy KRS-One, you know, and he was one of the early proponents of healthy
Beef.
eating. And,
Yeah, what a relief.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, I do rap, and so does Chuck. You know, I don't rap on a professional level anymore, you know, but you know, nonetheless, you know, hip hop is, I always believe that I am the embodiment of hip hop. You know, I embody it every day. So when we do all hip hop, it's not anything foreign for us, you know.
Yeah.
I hope I articulated that.
Yeah, that was just dope. Yeah, that's it. Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Honestly, same thing. I think it's a part of your moral code as well. That for us, we were blessed enough to have those formative years, have good MCs. You know what I mean? Good, not just MCs, but role models beyond that. You know, when you talk about role models, I mean people like, you know, Chuck D, KRS, and then everything that comes with that. You know what I'm saying? So we had a good foundation, and that expands into every aspect of the culture. So I'm doing a dope Black History thing for a young classroom about graffiti. Now, you don't know me as a graffiti artist, but if I reach over far enough, I can pull you some of my graffiti art that I do in my spare time.
Feel free.
And let me just give him his props too. He's an incredible. This dude got drawing skills that you know.
Go reach over. That way. Greg, you can keep bigging him up while he goes and. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I just like I said, just a little sunshine.
Hold on.
This is just, hey, I just doodle now. You know what I mean? So this is not in any way representative of everything that I do, but this is just a little doodle. I think I might have been on a plane or something. You know, so. My point is the folks that know me, folks that know Greg, know us as multi-talented individuals. You know what I mean? And when it comes, and I think that a large reason why we are like that is because of hip hop. I'm looking at will.i.am's comic book. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, look, this is what we are. This is what we do. So, we haven't mastered every element of hip hop, but we sure can. We can do everything.
You know, in the company name, all hip hop. You know, that encompasses the whole body of work, and I think it's important. Now, you know, you guys are you know, you cover hip hop, but you are hip hop.
Well, as Hakeem said, we are hip hop. You know,
I was like,
we'll take over.
Or is it him?
We'll take over for now.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is the All Hip Hop Show. Smoking Mad Ism.
He's lucky I stopped smoking about 2 months ago. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here burning this thing down.
I was like, yo, is it me? Because I know sometimes I'll be freezing. I was like, yo, I should have pulled out that Ethernet cord. But it's all good. We'll wait for Hakeem to come back.
While we wait, why don't you tell us a little more about the graffiti class, you know, the thing that you're teaching for graffiti?
Oh, yeah. Well, all right. So for everybody, you know, it's Black History Month or whatever. And, you know, there's a lot of conversations to be had in Black history. So I'm talking to a small class about Black history. And I'm not going to get up again, but I have mad books on graffiti. I have some of my own. And I have spray paint. I got it all. You know what I'm saying? I do a little something in the back, and just for fun, really. But I got approached to do a little lesson on it. So I said, oh, okay, boom. Let me pull out all my, you know, I got my Martha Cooper books. I got some from the UK, from other parts of the world. I have my books, and I have another book by Sacha Jenkins. It's called a piece book, and it's just like this. Actually, it's a piece book. It's just where you take a notebook. It has all your little drawings in it. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, I think what those mean is they start out as a little small piece, and then they go and put that somewhere on a mural or wherever the case may be. And it starts out as a little piece, and they go and put it on a big one. So that's man. So that's that, man. But I think that we have to celebrate hip hop a little bit more substantially, because we are not benefiting still to this day. What's up, man? We kept doing the show. You on mute? You on mute?
Unmute.
Muted.
Bottom left.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So you guys are professional about yours. I appreciate working with such professionals. Yeah, my internet just went out.
No, brother.
Right. Right. So I was saying that the name All Hip Hop, says it all. But when do you guys decide that this is what you wanted to do, to build a hip hop journalist platform? That's something that, as a rapper, you're not thinking about. You're thinking about spitting the rhymes. For you to shift gears and like, you know what? Let's do this. Adds so much more to the culture.
Yeah, I don't think there was a switch. I don't think there was ever a switch. I think we were doing it. And the only switch that may have happened was that once you get out of school and you get a little further in your life, you do realize you have to do something that's going to generate some money and generate some, just like livelihood wise. And I think that might have been the only switch that kind of started to happen. So I know that I definitely fell a little bit back on some of the other things that I was doing and became more interested in writing and wanted to really master writing. And I think that's where it kicked in for me. So I started going to New York and I started to meet people, but I also just started to entrench myself in the culture from a New York point of view, more so from our point of view. We're from Delaware originally, so we had our own culture in Delaware, heavily influenced, obviously, but it was our own culture nonetheless. And I started to venture out a lot more. And Greg, I know Greg will speak for himself, but we came to an alignment almost like, whereas we'd known each other for a long time, but hadn't really worked together. You know what I mean? Hadn't fully.
Both of you guys are from Delaware?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had known each other for high school, college, grade school?
High school.
Wow. And you didn't decide to work together until.
Well,
that's interesting.
Well, let me say this just to accurately reflect our historical relationship.
Yeah.
Well, for me, first of all, hip hop is something that I've been doing and it's been a part of my identity since I was in literally the 4th grade, and I can trace that back to, 1983, 84, when I went to a Run DMC concert here in Delaware. I had to have my snakeskin Adidas, it was a wrap, you know what I mean? Like I was all in. So by the time
Mad Islam too.
Really?
Not Run DMC, but
he kept his cheap in his locker, so he probably was smoking weed too.
I always think back, and my parents dropped me off at our local high school where the concert was, and they didn't come on until midnight. But I was there. I saw Jay doing the run, the whole 9 yards.
Can I tell you something though?
Please.
Before Greg continues, I was there too, but my dad did not drop me off. My dad stayed.
That was you too.
After a while, he was like, "They took too long." My dad was like, "Nah, we out."
Yeah, my dad was probably drinking and smoking the ism somewhere else.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Growing up in the culture, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Greg.
And let me say this: a lot of people have to realize how close Philadelphia is to Delaware. You know, it's not like we lived on another planet. And because pop art in particular, you know, was there and putting out a lot of the early records by the Juice Crew, you know, before they got with Cold Chillin', you know, those records, Schoolie D, you know, all of those joints, Top Hustlers, they were all right in our vicinity.
I'm glad you said that, because Philly needs to be given its proper due and respect. Because when we talk about hip hop culture, like they about it in Philly to this day. Like they've always had that.
Schoolie D started gangster rap. Like, let's keep it 100. Straight from Schoolie D to Ice-T, and then from there. You know what I mean? So you got to get, and then, oh my God, EST, when I met EST and Schoolie D, I felt like I was meeting, I don't want to get too sacrilegious here, but a pair of hip hop guys.
No, bro. No. Ain't no sacrilege, because we got to start learning how to respect, like, everybody, you know, understand when you talk about a Schoolie D, the impact. We talk about EST, the impact, you know what I mean? It reverberated, you know, it dropped in Philly, but reverberated outward. And we caught it just as much. Like, you know, we study EST. You know, you study that. Schoolie D was like the anthem. He had Looking at My Grouchy and what's the other one? Look at it. PSK that green. People always saying, what the hell is that? These is anthems. Early. So, Parkside Killers, you know, like it's, you know, from graffiti, DJ, you know, the whole 9 yards. Jazzy Jeff was serving DJs early.
Jeff and Cash Money.
Cash Money, come on, early. It was about it early. So,
not for nothing, I used to check people just gently, because I know New York is real sensitive. But I used to check people very gently, like, yo, graffiti started in Philly. Like, let's just keep it up. You know what I'm saying? Cornbread and whoever else, you know, like, so the elements of hip hop were all over. And just not even to get into Jamaica and Africa and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But
and Philly International, understanding how deep the roots of Philly go all the way back into music history beyond, you know, before hip hop. You know, a lot of, obviously hip hop is built on samples and things of that nature, you know, so, you know, having a record label like Philly International right here, and Mr. Gamble and Mr. Huff right here nurturing these artists as the hip hop industry started to grow. I mean, it was an incredible time. And then on the radio, we had Lady B, you know, who did a Street Beat.
Yeah, she was the first recorded female MC.
Every Sunday from.
Wait, that's before what's that?
79.
Sequence.
79. She might have been,
yeah. What's that? What's the group that
the sequence with
Angie Stone. That wasn't first.
I think Lady B predates her.
Wow. Well, big shout out to all the, you know, I had the word female is sketchy. The women, you know what I'm saying? The queens early who really gave birth to this whole thing. You know, big shout out to everybody from that generation. You're talking about the 70s, you know, sisters putting it down on wax, Lady B, you know, Angie B with a Sequence, and you know, so yeah, big shout out to that whole. But like I'm working on this project right now, right? And it's a tribute to 70s, 80s hip hop, right? And I think it's important for us to, you know, pay respect to that era, you know, and in doing so, as I hear you talk about, you know, Philly cats, right? You guys being from Delaware, right? Reminds me of growing up in East Orange, outside of New York, right?
Very similar.
It's a very, very similar. How was that experience in Delaware? Like, you know, Jersey gets kind of like the stiff arm lots of times. We don't have a radio station. We're dependent on New York to kind of feed us to some degree. Was that the same kind of thing with Delaware, or
worse? Delaware and Philly, you know, we had a steady diet of Philadelphia, but we also could get Baltimore radio stations. You know, we're right in between Baltimore and Philly, so we could catch both on the airwaves. But you know, when we put our All Hip Hop offices in Newark in I don't know 2006, we were there for 11 years or so, and you know, for me, it felt like home because of how similar the city is to Wilmington, you know, which is our city here in Delaware, and it's the same thing, you know, where. You know, Philly is only right up the road. New York is only 2 hours away. But you got cats who maybe had never even left and been to either of those cities ever.
That's right.
You know, so, you know, I would say that the impact of Philly was very strong. But we had rappers out here in Delaware in the early 80s who were putting out their own 12 inches and putting out their own records and, you know,
who are some of those artists, if you can recall? Like, just, you know, let's shout them out so you get their due.
Twin B, Grand G, Cage One.
The whole Project X which was an album that came out, and that had a whole bunch of people. Fred G. What was their group's name? I forget.
Fred G and DJ F3. That was it.
We had who did Hitting Hard and King Kong?
I'm not sure. MC Isaiah.
And MC Isaiah, Riverside Bucket 26. Yo, that was the projects, bro. Like, I didn't even know like what Riverside was, man. Like when that song first came out, and then when I actually went to Riverside, oh my God, it was crazy. Like I was not in that situation like that. You know what I'm saying? But those guys were like heroes to us, man. I recently, well, it's probably been a year now, but I reached out to Grand G to work on a project, and I hope we can get it done, man. Maybe Greg and I can collab on this because Delaware hip hop was super vibrant. We had a dude named The Godfather, and he used to do a local TV on cable access TV show.
Local Yokels. It was called Local Yokels.
Yeah, yo, it was dope. It was, you know, I think it was dope. I don't know.
It was dope.
I think it was dope. Right, it was dope.
So it was like your version of graffiti rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Graffiti rock only lasted with like 2 episodes. It was like but it was legendary though. Like you know what I mean? So local yokels, like that's crazy.
Yeah, man. But you know, Delaware was extremely competitive. I think we were all competing, you know, to be great. To be great. Like we weren't competing. We weren't collaborating, but I don't think we were necessarily competing with each other either. But we were competing with New York. We were competing with Jersey. We were in our heads, even if nothing else, trying to be that great. And I think we did have those talents. To this day, I think Delaware has great talent.
Yeah. Like I said, I had Tretch on the show a few weeks back. And
wait, 89.9. There's a comment. I'm sorry. I said, did we get 89.9 too? If that was I think that was UPenn or Temple's radio station. We got it.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I had Tretch on the show a few weeks ago, and you know, I brought up a song recently with an OG from East Orange named Mike C. King Mike C. And the first time I saw Mike rhyme was like I might have been like 8 or 9 years old, you know. But Mike's life, he, you know, took a lot of downturns in his life, you know, and but creative genius. Like he was, you know, Tretch, he was DMX, he was Tupac before all these guys. He was that guy. So to see Tretch reach back, you know, and embrace him was so powerful. And likewise to hear that you're reaching back to the cats that you came up with to try to do something, that's empowering, and that's really dope. Yeah,
I was working briefly with Young Guru. You know, Young Guru.
Oh yeah, he's also from Delaware. Yes. Yeah, Delaware, Newark, actually. Yeah,
man. Yeah, Newark. We were picking our kids up at the same daycare for a while there. You know what I'm saying? That was weird. That's crazy.
Yeah. But now
the business out there, nothing but yeah.
But I want to get back to like the two of you. You know, like growing up together but not really knowing each other, being together at this Run DMC, not together, but being at this Run DMC concert at the same time. Did you guys know each other at that time? At that point, did you?
Yeah, let's be really clear. Greg and I know each other.
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation that happened, but I was best friends with his sister, and he was best friends with my brother.
Wow.
So when I tell you,
for y'all family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We family. So when I
family.
tell you we were in and out of Greg's house
Mhm.
every day, basically, it's a true story. And Greg was the first dude with the EPS, the Ensonic. If I right,
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
mean, we're not
still got my ASR right there.
Right.
okay. Yeah.
Right.
My brother, he helped my brother learn how to work his ASR. I don't think we ever had the Ensonic. I think we started with the ASR. And so I say all that to say this. I don't want anyone to get it confused. While we weren't necessarily rapping together or whatever, we were like
family
working together, going, you know, we all recorded at the same recording studio when we made our demos, you know, all of these things in the early hip hop scene, or in you know, the late 80s, early 90s, you know. Chuck had a poppin' radio show in college. He was in college by this point. I was still in high school.
And what college you went to? What college, Chuck?
I went to the University of Delaware. I started at Delaware State, and I transferred to UD.
And you had radio station at both spots, or just the?
No, just UD. Just UD. UD had an ill. Well, I didn't mean to cut you off, Greg. But,
no,
they had a UD. I ain't gonna like UD has some dope facilities. I'm gonna just keep it real. It had dope. It had it had computers. It had Mac. All this goes to flows directly to AllHipHop. It had dope it had a Macintosh room, like a lab. My mind was like a whole lab full of Macintosh computers, yo. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I got to
right.
So the radio station was something that I did every week called the Funk Show. I think it was the Funk Show. I think, yeah. And every Friday, man, we got it in, man. Rappers would come through. Greg's brother rapped up there. We would play people's demos. We also played regular music too, and I always did my best to get unreleased music. So sometimes if I was listening to the radio, or I went to Virginia, which is where my family's from, I would tape stuff and cut it off before like some DJ started talking or whatever.
Okay,
but it was like our own little golden era, honestly.
I mean, listen, this show was popping, you know.
Right.
I mean,
this is early 90s.
Probably early 90s, probably 90, 91.
Okay.
You know, if when I would come out of the studio with a demo, if I could get it on the local UD station, because it was probably 100,000 watt station. You know, it wasn't like it was just 10,000 watts. I mean, it reached all the way up into Philly and all the way down into Maryland.
Nice.
You know, so, you know, getting your record played on there was significant, you know, and psychologically, those types of wins made me feel like, okay, I can run a record label. I can do this as a business. I'm actually doing something with the music that I'm coming out of the recording studio with. So I mean, it was very impactful.
Yeah, yes, guys, it's dope to hear you say that, because me coming into the music industry was about rocking the mic, right? And not looking at it as, okay, use this experience for because that rocking the mic thing is like that. You know what I mean? So you got to have other skills. You have to have, now you develop them over time, but to go into it like that is something dope to hear. So you talk about that, man, like just for artists who want to come up trying to do their thing, like how to look at this hip hop thing is more than just rocking the mic.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's so much more to it, and some of it comes with just experience, but a lot of it comes with listen, I had the thirst for being in the music business. I know this is gonna sound like I'm making it up, but since I was 2 years old, when I got my first tape recorder, I knew that technology and tape recorders and music business and all, music that I was hearing on the radio, I knew this is what I was going to do. So by the time MTV hit, which, was a real turning point in everybody's neighborhood, even though they wasn't playing black music, there was music on TV.
Yep.
Then when hip hop hit my neighborhood, which, like I said, I was in, 3rd, 4th grade, I knew, oh, this is the lane. Now, I thought maybe I'd be a famous break dancer because I could break dance.
right.
I didn't think that I was obviously going to be doing all hip hop, but I knew that I was going to run a record label like Berry Gordy. And, I started my first little record business when I was in 7th grade, incorporated and everything.
Wow. Really?
By the time I was in 9th grade, I felt like I was a professional. I was in the studio, paying my money, doing demos, calling Red Alert, reading the credits of rap tapes to get people's numbers to send them my demo. And, I was telling a story in Clubhouse how Red Alert called me back when I was in 8th grade.
The Red Alert. He's like, oh my God, I love Red Alert. We're interviewing him soon too. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
I just gotta say, Red Alert is so cool, and to hear you say that is just a full-fledged testament to how cool he is. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, let me tell a story because I think Hakeem froze up. So I was, reading credits. The Jungle Brothers' first album in particular, and Red Alert had RAP Productions, Red Alert Productions, rap. And he had left the number there. And, just like I always did, if somebody had a number, I would dial the number. So I called Red Alert, left a message. Yo, Red, this is Greg Watkins. Give me a call back. I really need to talk to you. I didn't realize there was a number for booking the Jungle Brothers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure the only reason he called back was because he thought he was going to get a show, So I was out front literally riding my bike on my street. That's how young I was, riding a bike around in circles, whatever. My mom yelled out out the bedroom window, "Yo, Greg, there's somebody on the phone named Red." And I'm like, what? What's she talking about, Red? And she was like, "Yeah, Red is on the phone." And it clicked. Oh, she's talking about Red Alert. I threw my bike down. I ran in the crib, picked up the phone, made sure my mom hung up the upstairs phone. And then I ain't really have nothing to say. I just was like, thank you for calling me back. I'm young. I'm trying to get into the music business. And he was very gracious, man. I'll never forget it. We sat on the phone for like a half hour and he just talked to me about the music business. And he just explained the music business to me. And that was my first contact, Red Alert. That was my first contact with somebody of note in the music business. And that must have been 1989.
Wow.
God, I just texted Red Alert, yo. I was like, oh my God. We gotta get Red Alert. We gotta get I love Red Alert so much, man. He's so cool.
Yeah. First time, well, of course Red Alert on the radio was the first time I was introduced to Red Alert. But I had the chance to go to the Funhouse in 1984, Christmas Eve, 1984, and Red was the DJ. And it was Red Alert, Little Louie, and Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh performed Lottie Dottie Christmas Eve. This is like a year before it came out. So I was 14 years old. Mind blown.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just looking at hip hop from that time period, not realizing what's going on. We're just living a culture, not knowing it's going to be this big thing. Hearing you say you knew you wanted to run a record label, like, I think that's special. The average person is not looking at it like that, and I think that's very, very special.
You buying these. We would buy 12 inches, because we was like the first dudes in the neighborhood with Technique 1200s and Gemini mixers. And every week we would go out. I would walk up to. I had a paper route. That's how I got my money. And I would scam double charge certain people who would always who would pay in advance.
Wow, hustling
just to get enough money.
Every day I'm hustling.
I mean, you're only talking $12.
I ain't mad at you. Yeah,
but I would use that. I would use that money and go to the local record store, Wonderland Records, and they had all the new 12 inches. And I would buy the new 12 inches, and I would look at the labels, and I would look at the artwork, and I would be just amazed at it. I would be amazed, and I was like, I want to do this.
Wow.
Wonderland and Rainbow. Do you remember I Like It Like That on Main Street?
Vaguely.
It was another record store. It went out of business really early, but I'd never forget buying Chuck D's Public Enemy's first song. Brain is, I'm losing it right now, but the one with the crazy sample. Yo, Chuck. Yo. Public Enemy #1. Yeah, Public Enemy #1.
That wasn't the first one.
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Flav was like, yo, Chuck, I was on the ad, man, and they was talking bad. And they said, Chucky D, he swear he nice. I said, the brother don't
say he knows he's nice.
That joint.
Right. Yo, man.
I think that was the first joint.
That era is just, I saw a Method Man talking about, the golden era is considered like the 90s, right? And he was like, no. The golden era is really, 85 to 92. That's the golden era. And I would have to somewhat agree. Like, I just that, because we were in college. That's my whole rationale. When you're like 16, 17, 18, 19, that's such an important part of your human development that whatever the soundtrack is during those years are probably going to be the most impactful for you for the rest of your life. Yeah. So for me, it's LL, Chuck, Kane, Chris, Rakim, Slick Rick, G-Rap. Like that's the. Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean,
same thing.
I would throw a couple Philly cats in there, but yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, G-Rap was a big deal. Kane, his first 3 albums were like hugely important. I mean, these were like soundtracks. I can still remember what I was doing with some of them. The girls I was messing with. The kind of cars that we were driving around in Honda Accords with 5-star rims that matched the color. Having a certain level wattage of amps in the back of you, pulling up your trunk at the McDonald's after the football game. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that was the music.
We still argue about who's the best MC from that era. Like, we literally still argue about that. Like it was like we were at the lunchroom in high school. Like, I mean, I don't mean no harm, but I don't see cats having those type of arguments in 20, 30, 40 years, arguing about the current right now era, how dope they were lyrically. Now, you might say somebody's more popping or more hotter or more, cool or whatever. But in terms of just lyrics, I don't really see that happening.
Nah, it's not even about the lyrics, and some of them are honest about that, but a lot of them try to compare themselves to what was going back then. It's like not even comparable, not just sound wise or content wise, but also in terms of the business of music itself. I point to like the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Just kind of really changed the way, the monopolization of music,
that, and I would say that, when they introduced laws that curtailed sampling in like, 1997 or 98, that had a huge impact on the sound of the music, because hip hop was a sample based, medium, so now, it's hard for me to listen to certain music when it's the same 3 keys or, the same 2 keys or, it's almost like when I'm a big fan of doo-wop music. And a lot of the early doo-wop music from say 53 to 55 before they started putting strings and, things to expand it. It was all, the same harmony. Do 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 do. And there's like a billion songs with that melody.
It's crazy.
So when you
history repeats itself.
It repeats itself.
Wow, that's interesting. That's thank you for that. Thank you, because in the great debate about generations versus and all that, like people have to factor in it. History does repeat itself.
I mean, doo-wop and hip hop. Which are, 2 uniquely African-American art forms, are so identical, created by young black people in New York, young black people on the streets, trying to get out of gangs, no instruments. I mean, it just it's endless,
It's crazy. Yeah, salute. No doubt. So, all right. So what year does All Hip Hop officially launch?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, Greg started. Well, so here's the story. So Greg started All Hip Hop prior to our partnership. Our partnership was in '98, but Greg had already got it going. What, '96?
Yeah, around late '96.
Yeah, so '96.
Wow.
And then that. Well, I don't want to tell you're a part of this. Like, go ahead. You say.
I'm sorry. In '96, I was running a record label down here, and I had been on the internet itself since '93. Selling tapes to cats in Germany, selling our music around the world. And by '96, I knew how to build websites, they didn't look anything like it looks now, but the basic elements were there. And at some point I said, I was putting out 12 inches, there's 12 inches if you look out on YouTube or eBay that have the All Hip Hop logo on them from '96, because I was releasing records with under the name All Hip Hop, and I needed to bring more traffic to it. I mean, our artists, they were popping, they were good. I don't want to disrespect them, but I've started writing articles about other rappers on All Hip Hop. Chuck was in New York, already popping, writing for who are you writing for?
A lot of indie mags for the most part at that point.
He had tapes,
mags, but they gave me access to a lot of great artists, big names at the time, in particularly New York.
So he had a lot of interviews that were on the cutting room floor that I was asking him for, like, yo, let me get the last 100 words of DMX or, whatever. And then he was like, yo, what, let's just put this thing together.
That's again the hustle. Every day I'm hustling. Let me take words that you did make this. Let me go over here and use these so I can. There.
Well, that's the thing. So we had gotten into the internet space around the same time, but I just had a different website. It was called Tantrum. So Tantrum was like a lifestyle play. It wasn't exactly hip hop because hip hop's a lifestyle anyway, but a lot of the magazines that I was reading at the time, which were not black magazines, they were white magazines, but they were lifestyle oriented. They encompassed everything. And so that was what I tried to do with Tantrum. And I really put a lot of work into that. But I was actually running my full articles for these small magazines on Tantrum, just rescanning it. I had learned, back to UD, that Mac Lab served me well. I learned how to do a lot of Photoshop. I mean, I guess I didn't learn it that well, but I was indoctrinated at that time. How to build the fundamentals, I would say, came out of that. And then I went along and bought my own computer and learned how to do like a lot of the graphics. So Greg was actually asking me to do some of the logos for All Hip Hop. So at one point I had redid it like in a Converse sign, sort of like Converse, but with All Hip Hop in it. And it just evolved, man. And the logo, well, the All Hip Hop logo eventually morphed into
the Tantrum logo.
Tantrum logo morphed into the All Hip Hop logo. And all that was my work, by the way. Everything on Tantrum was my work. I'm just gonna put that out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, man. So we did. That was the smartest thing I think I ever did. Was like, yo, let's work together, Greg. And that was the game changer of game changers, right?
And it only took a year for us to take off. Wow. And I'm sorry, that was about late '97, early '98. And I mean, when I tell you, for 10 years prior to that, I had been driving back and forth to New York. I met with every record label from Profile, Corey Robbins. I met MC Light when she had Duke the Moon as a management company.
That's right. Yeah, big shout out to Makiba Mooncycle, by the way.
I met with everybody trying to get this record label concept going. And within a year of linking with Chuck, we was on the other side of the velvet rope. Literally.
That's dope. If you know about the velvet rope in New York City in '98, that's a big jump right there, young man.
Oh man, I'll never forget. Big Said, I'm gonna call him out. Big Said gave me the middle finger. Ooh, I'll just say.
See,
we were with Russell Simmons. Big Said in a party gave me the middle finger.
He gave you the middle finger,
Cedric.
We knew it. It might not have been that early in our start, but I knew that Big Said was a hater at that point.
See, that's just for the folks to understand. When you hear Big Said getting lambasted, he's in years of investment, and the get back is strong.
you don't give people the middle finger and not, you get hands put on you for that. Like I didn't understand.
Nah, but over time you realize he only does that to the people he got respect for and he loves.
I know that now.
He likes to play them out. But if you don't understand that, you really ready to lump him up.
That happened to me early on with Bow-Legged Lou. First time I went down to the Source Awards, we was riding in the car together, hanging out. I'm, over the moon because the Full Force was a heavy impact for me. I had all their 12 inches and all that. So, I go sit down in my seat at the Source Awards. This is like 99, maybe 2000. And he had put a sign on my back that said, "Kick me."
Are you serious?
Bruh.
No,
I'm telling you.
Wait. Bow-Legged, and you knew him not from a can of paint. Like he just did this.
I just knew him a little bit.
Just knew him a little bit. He just put a sign on you that says "Kick me."
My ears were red. I mean, I wanted to fight, but them dudes was cock diesel.
Oh,
I
wouldn't. Yeah, that would have been bad.
Plus, that wasn't his energy. His energy wasn't like
he was.
It was. Then I found out years later, or not years later, weeks later, because I was mad at him for a minute, but then I found out he's just a prankster. That's what he does to everybody he likes. Okay. He's called me every year on my birthday since that date, playing jokes, calling as a female voice. He's my guy now. One of the longest. But I'm just saying, like Chuck was saying about Said, I had no idea that's
big shout out to Bow-Legged Lou. Big shout out to Full Force. Legends, no doubt. Legends, no doubt. So, is there anybody out there? Because you guys got to get at people. Is anybody out there that's like you just felt the wall go up, like without you knew, what? I'm gonna try this another time. Like anybody's energy that just resonated. I'm not really trying to get at you right now.
T-Pain. One time I was at a joint in Delaware. I think he still won't talk to us, but he was at a party in Delaware, and I rolled up on him. I mean, I got great respect for all these guys. I don't know any of them personally, and I respect all the artists. And I mean, how many times I've been in the clubs, during a certain era of my life, grinding on females and drinking and smoking and the T-Pain's music so many times.
Right.
So I roll up on him. Yo, T-Pain was, and it was just ice. He's like, nah. Then come to find out, he was mad over something we printed about Dead Prez because they're both from the same city. And, I don't even remember what it was at this point, but that's one, I'm not going to get into how many artists, it hasn't been that, when you consider the 23-year history, for me, there's only like maybe three times that has happened. T-Pain is one, was harmless. I think one time I got shook, a Fat Joe, it was something that he didn't want us to print, I think, and we printed it. And I ran across him on a video shoot in LA, and all the energy towards me changed when he pulled up, and I greeted him, I greeted him in the car and all that. And, but then I was like, I think it's time for me to go. I could read it.
Felt that you just read. Yeah.
I was like, I ain't going to risk it. But, I've seen him multiple times after that, taking pictures with him and dapped him up and all that. So it's not like there's anything.
So what about, someone who, you didn't write something negative about, there wasn't necessarily shade. You just, you walked up and you could just feel, this ain't the time to do it. Because as an artist, I'm an artist, and I've walked up on people that's like, I go to like, and they be like, let me. I
got one. I got one. Busta Rhymes at Summer Jam one year, right? You know, you got to be careful sometimes with Busta. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
brother. When I see Busta, I can roll up on Busta, give him a handshake. He'll give me a bear hug and, you know, invite me to the studio or wherever he's doing that night. You know, it's all love. But one time I seen him and I was just about to walk up to him and say what's up while he was in the middle of a conversation. And somebody got in front of me and, you know, tapped him on the shoulder and say what's up. He went nuclear on the dude. What are you doing interrupting my conversation?
Oh.
Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm so glad
I'm not on the other side of that.
Dude beat me. He beat me to that punch.
Yo, that's good. Yeah, nah, I've had some experiences like that. Like I said, you walk up on somebody, you go to piece them up, and you just feel like, nah, the energy is not really, you know, conducive. What about you, Chuck? Anybody?
Not too much, man. I had a situation with Fat Joe really early on in my career, but I mean, he didn't know me at all. You know, it was nothing to do with AllHipHop. I just think he just wasn't in the mood. It didn't. I was a young writer. You ain't have time, whatever. Nah, man. One time Wale had an issue, and it was based on something that appeared on AllHipHop. But other than that, not really, man. I can't.
The reason why I asked this is because, like, navigating this thing is tenuous. You know, like, yeah, it's hip hop. Yeah, we out partying. Yeah, it's all that, whatever. But you know, when it comes to getting business and trying to execute something, especially making your bones up the charts before AllHipHop is this name, trying to get at people becomes, you know.
But see, we didn't have that issue. I mean this respectfully, but we popped off outside of the industry. We never had to like weasel our way. I don't mean we never had to grind. Yeah, we didn't have to compromise. We didn't have to, you know, people came to us. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean I'm just being humble, but I mean that saying that for the first 10, 15 years, we didn't have to really, you know, it was like selling Bentleys. When you're selling a Bentley, whoever walks in that door is ready to buy a Bentley. And they're going to walk out with a Bentley. And that's just the way it was for, you know, 10, 15 years. It's a little different now because the climate's changed now. But for that first run was not hard to get at people, except like Eminem. We never interviewed Eminem. So I could still say that, you know, that's the one artist that we never got at all in no form or shape at all, you know, that I would say from our era that we probably should have gotten, which I never, it's always escaped me why we never interviewed Eminem.
I think I might know why. Just because we're cool with Champtown, or at least I am.
You know. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know about that. But I hear you. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
That interview is something that you sought after, like you've sought after that, and it's like, oh, it's just.
Well, that's the thing. We never begged for it. We never went extra hard for it, and it was no need to go extra hard for it. You know what I mean? Meaning, you know, it was like a general mutual respect. I spent 3 hours with Nas. Why wouldn't I interview Eminem? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That type deal.
Yeah. So where would you put Eminem on the pantheon? Where is his place?
Oh, I see what you're trying to do. No, Eminem's one of the greats. But he's not number one. He's not in my top 5 or 10.
I don't even like the don't number it. You don't have to number it.
Well,
it's because all right. So let me give some context to it, right? So you know, you got, say, the Lord Jamar point of it is that he doesn't speak to black people. His message, like, we don't relate to him. His voice is for another market, another group of people who don't understand our pain, don't understand our experience. So that's why he doesn't say resonate. Like, you know, nobody goes, yo, what's your favorite Eminem joint in the hood? It's not like people aren't checking for it.
I will respectfully push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
And I'll say that we're not any one thing. You know, the quote is, we're not a monolith. You know what I'm saying? So Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP is an album that actually did speak to me. You know, energy wise, a lot of that album. That's a classic album. Now, I don't, you know, we're not going to number things, but I will say that is one of the best albums of all time. Masterfully put together. I can't, honestly, I won't, again, no numbers, but I'll put that at the top of the list conceptually of one of my favorite albums. But when you start to have a 20-year career or whatever, you know, things settle a little bit and you start to look at things a little differently. So, and as far as Eminem, I think he's a great, talented artist. I would love to see him slightly evolve or, you know, sort of show the more mature side of him. Like, what do you think about when you're about to go to sleep, or when you first wake up, or what do you dream about, or what's your daughter doing now? You know, we learned so much about her. What's Kim doing? You know, I would love to know where's the evolution of the personal life that we learned so much about early on. And I think that's sort of the disconnect at this point in my personal liking of Eminem. It's just, you know, we learned so much. What's your mom up to? Like, I want to know. Do you talk to her? Are y'all cool now? You know, stuff like that. And I think that once that wasn't as cool as popping pills, disrespecting your moms, shouting about killing Kim, you know, that's no longer like the other side of healing or whatever. Being sober is not as cool anymore.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think?
Well, you know, same with Chuck. You know, it's not like I ride around bumping Eminem all day. You know, because music is turned into playlists. I would say a lot of artists, I don't listen to their full albums. You know, I have playlists of individual songs. The one thing I'll say that I definitely enjoy about Eminem is reading his lyrics. You know, his wordplay and the way he puts words together. I just, there's not many people that can match it, no matter who you put them up against. You know, when you read, when you read it, reading it is a different experience than hearing it and listening to it. You know, and so when you read it and you see how much goes into it, and, you know, friends of mine who have known him for years tell me how he writes, and it might take him 12, 13 hours to write one verse, you know, stop, you know, infatuated with one line and moving lines around. I mean, it's a real technical form of writing that that definitely deserves its props and its respect.
Right. Respect.
But when I'm riding in my car, I'm more prone to be listening to, you know, the East Flatbush Project over and over again, Tribe by 12, you know, or, you know, Gangstar's second album, you know.
I was listening to that Nipsey Hussle album today.
Nipsey, yeah. The Marathon or what? What one?
Yeah.
Yeah, banger.
Yeah, it's because, you know, I don't, you know, the Eminem thing, I've been in his presence once, never met him. And that's weird, seeing as though he was so close to the outsiders. Young ZM, like I knew Proof well, like me and Proof got along very well, but I never met Eminem, which was funny. And, you know, I think technically he's a very dope MC lyricist. You know, if he's on someone's top 5 list, I can't question that at all, because, like I said, it's so personal. Depends on where you at and how a person touches you. You know, though I do at the same time see what Lord Jamar is coming from, because, you know, in my experience from what hip hop is, seeing it grow from, you know, pretty much an African American Latino art form, you know, cultural expression, it's seeing get shut out by mainstream, by white people. Like, I saw that happen. I was a part of the generation, and I went to camp every summer, right? And I was like maybe one of 6 or 7 black kids out of like 400 or 500 campers. And I couldn't play my rap music until Run DMC. And it was all good. But prior to that, if it wasn't Leonard Skinner, Ozzy Osbourne, Def Leppard, you know, all that, it wasn't going to happen. And now their grandchildren are telling us what hip hop is. You know, and that's kind of unsettling.
Well, that's the deeper issue. So that's the deeper issue. And I think Eminem had addressed his own privilege on White America, which is a really dope record that talks from him as a white man to white people. And he hasn't held that stance recently, but that's a dope indication of what he feels. And I think he's done a lot to show us that he appreciates us. He's name dropped and done things to really overcompensate almost for maybe some guilt there because he has been made sort of the gold standard of lyricism, the gold standard of, success. But no one really mentions the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the calculated maneuvers that were done to get him there. And there's a lot of dope rappers. Early on in his career, he had beef with similar type artists, Cage and people like that, who had similar, similar styles, if you will. And I think ultimately being down with Dre and Interscope and the conscious effort to dye the hair and things like that made all the difference in the world for him. And you can look no farther than Royce the 5'9" to sort of compare successes and and things, because Royce is literally, bar for bar. I honestly would say, and this is just a pure lyrical standpoint, really one of the few guys that can get on a whole Eminem album, do an album with Eminem
and hold his own
and bar it up. Like, and when, and that, there are others, obviously Chino XL comes to mind.
Royce is super dope.
Royce is incredible. And I actually mentioned to Royce that I just I had to say it because I felt a way about it, him not being, really on that, on that level across the board, like from coast to coast, white to black. But I told him, I said, "Yo, bro, you doper," and that's a respect thing to Royce, not taking anything from M, but just give Royce some flowers because Royce is incredible and he's great.
Right, but you just highlighted a very important point to it, is that the level of appreciation is because he's the white boy doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's not dope. I'm saying if he wasn't white, he'd be Redman, which is very, very dope lyrically, but you're not going to get that mainstream push. It's not going to, well, you may get the push, but that embrace is not going to be the same because of the color of your skin.
Yeah. So we ain't got to talk about Eminem no more right now.
And I would just say this too, historically in the music business, that's been the case. Yeah. Going back to the 20s. Yeah. Going back to the 30s.
Well, before we leave Eminem, I just want to shout him out for Shade 45 because in a very important way that keeps real hip hop alive. So that platform in and of itself is worth our respect, above and beyond the other stuff. So we don't want to be throwing bricks at Eminem like that.
I'll tell you a little nugget, a little all hip hop factoid.
Please.
There at the very, very beginning of Shade 45, and we were working out a deal with them to deliver content to the channel. But the finances weren't there. I think it might have been, in hindsight, it might have been a little short-sighted on our behalf because we were doing well and the money was ridiculous. It was insulting, honestly. So we turned that deal down. But I think we had our own. Do we have our own station? No, we.
Ours was coming.
Ours was coming. Yeah, ours was coming. We had our own situation.
The issue was that back then, even the amount that we were being offered wouldn't even have allowed us to, have one person that we paid a salary to help really manage the channel. And, we were running our own business and our own brand. And, we're still to this day 100% independently owned, independently financed. So there was no wiggle room for us to, lose our focus. And we eventually launched All Hip Hop Radio with a company out of France, 24-hour radio station, just like Sirius XM 45. And we ran that for about a year and a half, 2 years. Morning show, afternoon show, evening
in
show.
The morning.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, well, you just Black-owned business.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a discussion in and of itself. How do you maintain for so long as a Black-owned business with all like how like there's government programs to help you sustain your business, or is all you got to bust your ass to go get that money, young man?
Bust your ass to get that money, young man.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't had any help from the government. We haven't had any help from any finances outside. Nobody's helped us raise money. This is all from our muscle and nothing else for 24 years, you know, and it's also navigating the waters that are filled with sharks, people that are trying to take the brand, people that are trying to separate the brand, people that are trying to arbitrage and use the brand name. I mean, there's companies like Complex and I'll name some names, Interactive One, and you know, company we most recently worked with called Maven. You know, collectively these guys have raised hundreds of millions of dollars working with us for their brands, you know. And while we weren't the only brand in each one of them, we were the anchor brand or the most important brand. And, you know, I dare any one of the company's CEOs that I've called to say any different, because we've had one-on-one conversations with each one of them, one-to-one. And they've said, this is the most important thing for us. Your brand is the most important thing for us. But in the end, you know, they're building their own brands. And so, you know, we've had to be very mindful over the past 20 years, you know, not to get tangled up. When we do get tangled up, how to artfully and gracefully untangle without ruining ourselves, our business, our relationships, you know. And, you know, honestly, it took George Floyd's tragic death for a lot of the industry that we are involved in. So we've got the hip hop industry that we're involved in. Obviously, that's something totally different than what I'm talking about, which is the ad tech world and the world of technology, which is, you know, by stats, you know, there's 3% Black people in advertising and tech, you know, and those sides of things we've felt for the past 20 years, whether it was, you know, people assuming what all hip hop is, you know, the white guys coming up to you doing this, yo, G, you know, those kinds of behaviors, you know, they set the tone for what you can expect out of a relationship, you know, and, you know, it's been, I mean, we've got stories for days, but, you know, if we weren't not only crafty, but, you know, very astute in staying on top of technology, continuing our education from the fact that, you know, we started this in 96, 97. We were around to build our own servers. You know, we were around at the beginning of the ad industry forming online period. And, you know, making sure that we are applying that knowledge that has been able to keep us on par, even though we haven't even though we haven't raised millions and millions of dollars. And make no mistake about it, you know, we've had talks with everybody from Jay-Z to Diddy to venture capital firms that are, you know, well known. And, you know, we've opted to take this course up until now just because, you know, offer wasn't right or visions weren't aligned, you know, but, you know, being Black owned was not significant until the passing of, you know, brother George Floyd. And then all of a sudden, it was such a horrific incident that all of a sudden the Black audience has now become the priority. And so we're looking to capitalize on that. Not on George Floyd's.
No, of course not. No.
You know, I just want to be clear, you know, because somebody will cut this up, and not you, but you know, 10 seconds of it'll hit the internet. You know, but,
thankfully, unfortunately, because of his passing, but thankfully, there has been a wave created because there's so many George Floyds that their deaths have kind of not gone in vain, but didn't turn the community to do something positive, progressive, and financially beneficial. So now that we got the opportunity to put government up against the wall and corporate up against the wall, taking advantage of the situation is what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to honor his death by making sure we invest that money the right way. And of course, all hip hop is a brilliant way to do that. Chuck, so I had a conversation with the mayor just before you guys came on, and I pointed out to him that, you know, for a long time I was in the conspiracy theory kind of quagmire, right? And you know, looking at Barack Obama, you know, like I was able to benefit directly from Barack Obama because of, you know, the ACA, Obamacare. I had reconstructive surgery of my left hand and wrist, and I didn't have insurance. I got insurance. 3 months later, I had this accident, right on time. Okay. Right. And I thought initially they was gonna put a chip in me. Seriously, like the conspiracy theory community was like, yo, that's how they're gonna get you chipped. You're gonna sign up for the insurance. In order to get the insurance, you got to get a chip.
This is what Trump believers believe now, but I'm sorry.
Man. So you see how, you know, the conspiracy theory can keep you from your own benefit. The conspiracy theory can keep you from your own empowerment, right? So now we look at Barack Obama, his impact as president of the United States. You know, I know you have a particular, because we go back and forth on Facebook. You know my history. You know how I get down, right? But in light of, you know, Trump and the aftermath of, you know, I've been able to really focus in on some of the benefits of the Barack Obama presidency. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think that presidency meant, and how do you think it transfers over to where we are now?
Well, hey man, I don't know, bro. It depends on what level we're talking about, but let's just talk on a basic everyday level. Let's just talk on a regular human level, raising your kids, trying to get ahead in your everyday life level. Rock was awesome. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, I was able to have some interaction with him. I wouldn't exactly say meeting him, but I got a picture with him, which is me holding my daughter and my niece, my brother holding my niece, and the paparazzi or whatever, the press snapped the picture of it, and I hold that near and dear. I think Barack was important. I think he was progress. I think he's still the leader of this country, which is it's a crazy position for a black man to be in.
So wait, you think he's still the leader of this country?
No, I don't. I mean, obviously not truly, but I mean, yeah. I mean, think about it. For us, who's our president? Who's our president? I mean, we rock with Joe Biden, but Joe Biden is president in part due to being Barack's vice president. You know what I mean? You don't think that helped? That gonna write that helped. So I think Barack, in stark contrast to Trump, was a godsend. I think he probably planted some of these seeds that we see now, and then Trump took that energy and went to the next level with it. But if you don't, I think Barack and Michelle Obama as well are inspirational figures that will probably create the next great, one of the next great leaders that we'll see. Maybe it's my daughter, or maybe it's her daughter, or her child. You know what I mean? So I know all the things that are bad, that are said bad about Barack. But if you say those things now, then I'm gonna look at you a little bit sideways and say that it's been it's been over 10 years, since Barack was elected. And if you hold those same feelings as you held back in the day, then and you have all this Trump stuff and all the after effect, I would say that you need to reassess your hindsight, or you need to reassess yourself, because Barack was never Jesus, metaphorically Jesus. He was never saving anybody. He was inspiration for you to get up and do better. And the brothers that I know, for example, in Chicago on the ground, know Barack Obama, and they understand what he had to do to get to where he is. The same with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris only had a couple of routes she could have taken as a lawyer to get to where she is right now, especially coming out of an HBCU. And she is heavily criticized, but there are only a few opportunities to get to this point, and then there are only a couple of opportunities to get to that next echelon, and then to be president or vice president as a person of color or black is a whole nother situation.
Yeah. Listening to Jalen Rose on ESPN, he had beautifully articulated this comparison of life in America for black people to a football game. And he says the football game is all about field position. So even if you know you're going to lose the game, so to speak, but you're in the game, you're fighting for field position, right? And I was like, wow. So looking at like field position, right, over the last, really our lifetime, 40 to 50 years, right, where in the Senate, Congress, president, there were no black faces, there were no black people, no black bodies, there were no black people there, right? You look now, it's all across the political spectrum, from, national, local politics. It's almost as if, like I said, when you said Barack Obama is still a leader, I know what you mean in the sense that the political machine that's in place is Barack Obama's, is what he kind of, he initiated through his presidency. Relationships, different people begin to fall in place because this person fell in place. So although this person may not be able to do A, B, or C, because his presence allowed these people who then may be able to do A, B, and C when it's their turn. You look at the political landscape, we've gained field position in a big way. And
I would just say, I think that the same effect is going to happen, with Kamala, as vice president. And, these are the types of inspirational figures and strategic figures we need to combat what the Republican Party is doing, because, they're pushing through a very extreme right-wing, Nazi-like agenda. And, this is the majority. It's not a few Republicans, it's the majority. So it's going to take a lot over the next 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, to really combat this way of thinking, which is, I'll say this, it's interesting because when we talk about conspiracy theories, and I'm not blaming hip hop at all, but I know when I was coming up in the late 80s, early 90s, like you, Hakeem, I was into conspiracy theories. I mean, Behold a Pale Horse was standard reading.
Right.
That was like standard in hip hop.
Yep.
And you can go back to a lot of hip hop from the 80s and 90s and almost hear Trump supporters in the ideology.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I just feel like, we're at a very dangerous juncture with white supremacy, the media, conspiracy theories, and any black person that we got in office. I don't want to say any. I know you got your boy Daniel, what's his name? Daniel Cameron from
Kansas. I mean Kentucky. Excuse me, not Kentucky. Yeah, Mr. Howard boy. Yeah. No, we already know. Every brother ain't a brother.
Every brother ain't a brother. But
right.
We have to have these people, and the people that are supporting our agendas, I just feel like, we have to support them. These right-wing guys are supporting Trump blindly, no matter what. Yeah.
See, like, very practical, just practical life. Every day, like the roads, street lights, schools, the post office, Medicaid, like just everyday practical stuff. You see who. So when they get you caught up in the conspiracy theory, where everything is about they, them, you lose sight of what's going on in your everyday life, what's important in your everyday life, and you abdicate your responsibility to be involved with local government because you don't want to be a part of the conspiracy.
Right.
And while they got you spooked out in the conspiracy world, they then go take the seat of power.
Yep.
Right.
And they go take the seat of power. You know, like I go deep with the, be like you say, Behold the Pale Horse, you know, Rule by Secrecy, the Committee of 300, all those books. I'm deep. I was looking at a book the other day, Committee of 300. I opened it up and I'm just like, I could see all the lies that's in this book. I'm finding them where I couldn't see them 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's crazy because, like I said, yeah, I didn't vote for Obama twice.
Ooh, shame on you. Shame on you, boy.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I was deep in the conspiracy world. Y'all was, you know, in the Occupy Wall Street circles to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I really started.
One of the founders of Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean,
I hung out with him multiple times. Very cool. And after hanging with him, no disrespect, I was like, you know, this isn't for me. I understand the concept of Occupy Wall Street, but this is one of the founders, and this is how he acts, and this is what he does. You know, on a one-on-one level, I'm like,
yeah. Well,
be polying with Jamie Harrison down in South Carolina. You know, as he tries to take over the.
That's right. He's gonna be the with DNC head.
Yeah,
now, the DNC chair. Yeah.
I just want to say something, man. You know, on hip hop's behalf, you know, it's important to note that, you know, Barack politicized Young Jeezy, for example. You know what I mean? He politicized Young Jeezy and T.I. and Killer Mike. Well, maybe not Killer Mike, but he politicized a lot of people that weren't otherwise political. And so we can literally trace that sort of lineage to where we are right now. You know, forget about, my kids' era and stuff, like literally right now. So we can't overlook it, man. We just can't, you know. And that Georgia situation was directly, it was a lot of the on the ground.
Stacey Abrams, salute to that queen right there. But like to that point, like, you know, we look at the Stacey Abrams, Rashida Tlaib, the AOCs, you know, the Bernie Sanders, the you know, across the political landscape, even the more conservative, you know, folks like Cory Booker. He's a Democrat, but he's a more conservative Democrat, as well as Hakeem Jeffries. You know, you see, you know, the nation shift to the left, and people of color and women largely involved in leadership positions in that push, and that just opens up doors for, you know, the next generation of folks to really assume position. It's like, if we don't lose sight of that, like, a big part of winning is understand when you won, and that's not just over and we don't keep pushing. But, you know, like Raz was saying earlier, we tend to always fight from the defensive point of view. We have to learn to take the ball and play offense. You know, So I don't know if you guys elaborate on that, gentlemen.
Well, shoot, from our point of view, where we stand, we you know, me and Greg. It's funny you mentioned that stance. You know, Greg and I have always in all hip hop always shown love to a lot of people, always been very inclusive. So while we're Black owned, you know, we have never excluded women. We've never excluded people of other races, whether it's white or Puerto Rican or whatever the case. You know, we had a very colorful, if you will, coalition of people that were with us at the time, at our highest high. But I think that we were a little nice. You know, I think we were too nice. You know, I think we didn't necessarily understand that some of the people didn't share those sentiments. So we were not offensively minded. We weren't really defensive either. You know, we were just kind of moving the ball forward. But I think it's kind of representative of Black people in general, how we allow folks to flow in and, you know, oh, really? Oh, okay. We're not going to hate on you. You do your thing. You know, you know, I'm not going to crush you because you crossed me, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. and I'm not saying we have those feelings now, but I think that we are definitely a little more, we think about ourselves a little more. We're a little older now. We have kids now, and we're thinking about our legacies now.
Salute to you, both phenomenal dads, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, salute. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's it, man. I mean, I think that, the other moguls, if you will, of hip hop, you don't necessarily know who helped them get there. You don't necessarily, they don't share in the spoils. I mean, for the longest time, Greg and I shared in our success to a large degree with the people around us, financially as well as credit-wise. I mean, dude, I look back at some of these interviews, and just using interviews as an example. Some of the people that we let interview some of these incredible stars, I'm like, yo, I let them interview this person. I would never, Nas, I gave someone else Nas? Really?
Wow.
I did that.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We shared, man. And there's people, I mean, bruh. I mean, when Greg and I finally get our book done. When we get our book done, I want to position this book. Because I want it to be positioned for maximum impact, like a meteor that's an extinction level event movie type of hit. But I just think about all the people we've helped selflessly, and how they never took a glance back, how they never thanked us. And we never looked for thank yous. We never wanted that, but we really did put people in positions to win. And they took those, and they took that, and they ran with that. And that's cool, man. But I just say that to say that right now we put focus on our team now, no question, but also our own lives as well, because we're important. We're not a footstool.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Well, I want to say thank you, because there's been many times you guys opened up your doors for me and gave me a voice. You know what I mean? So I want to salute you guys, no doubt. But speaking of interviews, what's your favorite interview?
Favorite interview? DMX is always colorful, always entertaining. He's also one of those guys that we saw from the very beginning, dog hairs on the couch type interviews. Redman, I was personally in a high-speed car chase trying to interview Redman with
you got to talk about that. What do you mean with a high-speed car chase?
Well, I'll tell you about, this is like right when we started, right when it might have even predated AllHipHop. I think it did. But just being hungry, when my boy Chris Brown, not the singer, but my friend from Delaware, Chris Brown, me and him drove all the way to Virginia to interview Red and Meth. Got there, and it was weird. You know what I'm saying? This is when they used to do in-stores. Meth and Red were doing an in-store CD signing. So I'm in there, and it's weird energy, bro. So I'm just like, let me get this picture with Redman real quick. And then I got one with Meth, and they asking us like, ain't y'all doing the interview? Why y'all taking pictures now? It was just weird. And soon as we left that in-store, it was like a high speed. The fans were crazy. And they just were, it was like an accident waiting to happen. And we actually lost them. And I think we lost them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we lost them. Anyway, ended up trying to find Red, because it really wasn't Meth. I did interview Meth. He was mad at the press as usual. That interview didn't go well. But ended up being there really from Redman. Finally finding out what hotel he was staying in. Went into the hotel lobby and just sat there and just waited. Finally, Redman, I think he actually came down to get some food.
He's bum rush you when he got some food.
I was so mad at that point. I was so pissed. I was like, I'm exaggerating it just a little bit. But I just got up, yo, what's up? I'm not even saying quite like that. But I was like, yo, what's up?
You was a little frustrated.
Yeah.
He was frustrated.
He was just like, oh, come on. like,
that easy, right?
Yeah, that was like, oh my God. And so we're in the room with his man. I remember his man was named oh man, I can't remember, but Biggie had name dropped the same name in a song. And I was like, you the same dude from the Biggie song? And he was like,
Diesel Don?
nah, it was two texts? Yeah.
Two texts.
Two texts. I think it was two texts.
Call him two texts because it holds.
Yeah, I think it was two texts.
Really? That's a real person?
I think, but it wasn't the same guy as Biggie. So anyway, man, Redman's eating like he did in our last interview, Greg, eating during the interview. But I was so hyped, man. Redman is, you Google me, he's in my top 5.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
And I was just in heaven, so that was dope. Redman, we've been cool with him ever since. But who else, Greg?
For me, it was a pleasure. Always had good times interviewing Andre Harrell was good for me.
Rest in peace, Andre Harrell. Salute.
Minister Farrakhan was a big one for me.
Minister Farrakhan.
Yeah, I know he's controversial, but
no, he's talking about controversial. I mean, he's controversial. He's controversial, but
for me, it was good because, I had the opportunity to challenge him, in a way that a lot of people don't. And believe me, it wasn't challenging him. I mean, it was asking him, yo, what do you really feel about Jewish people? Or what do you, what
did he say? I'm sorry, I missed that one. What did he say?
My mom is white, and she's a Jewish lady. How do I reconcile this with you? And he's based in the very biblically based. He's based in the Bible, so his answers were things like, how could I be the leader of the nation and be anti-white when Minister Fard is, mixed and part white, and he's the one who founded the nation, So, there were replies, which, I mean, looking back now, he's probably been asked these questions, a million times, but for me, and for all hip hop and our audience, it was, probably the first time this was happening. And also, this was right after he had gotten his surgery for prostate cancer. Wow. And so, I think we might have been the first ones after that interview. Another good one was Rick James,
God.
Talking to Rick James, the last interview he ever did. And I mean, he was off the charts.
Yeah, that's like tear shedding moment right there. You the last interview that Rick James.
But he was going so wild on George Bush, I think, was in office. He was going hard on the leader in North Korea, Kim Jong-un. I mean, and it wasn't crazy. It was all politically minded, very right thinking. Chuck did that interview.
I'm almost sure we were bugged that interview, at least.
That was an incredible interview. I was very distraught when he passed away, right after that, because not only did I love him musically, but I mean, we were in the middle of running a 3-part feature on him.
I didn't meet him in person either, and that was the last thing we said, that we were going to meet in person.
Wow, that's crazy.
One other one for me.
Rest in peace, Rick James.
Yeah, R.I.P. He's the GOAT. But interviewing the FBI agent who ran the investigation into the notorious Biggs murder, that was a big one for me personally. Just because he shed so much light on the backstory, to the point that I'm very confident that Big was actually killed by the LAPD. I mean, here's the guy who ran the investigation, presenting us, all hip hop, all of the evidence, So, I mean, in our 20 some odd year history, we've interviewed a lot of notable people. I mean, those are just a few that kind of stand out.
Wow. Yeah, man, you guys have been laying it down for just so long, and, hip hop journalism as its own element. You guys are pioneers, trailblazers in a big way. You're not the first, but the most authentic.
I would almost go as far as saying online we're the first.
Yeah.
There weren't any other brands online putting it down like this. I mean, there were weekly brands that published weekly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were by far the first ones to go daily.
Mm.
You know, there's no disputing that. We were the first ones to put out, you know, wireless news to people's cell phones and their pagers and create this nationwide network of hip hop information. You know, nobody was doing that in '99. So I'm not trying to be boastful, but you know, if you talk to the guys who run the Source, you talk to the former owner of XXL, Dennis Page, you know, you talk to Russell Simmons, who all had their own media outlets that they were either running or starting. Yeah, they were sitting down and talking to us about how to do it.
It's crazy. Now, you know, you bringing up the tech side of this thing. What's the future looking like for, you know, on the tech side in terms of delivering information in hip hop form?
Well, a couple big things are on the horizon that's going to change for every brand, mainly privacy laws, privacy rules. You know, as publishers, you know, they're going to be doing away with the third-party cookie over the next year, 2 years, but really probably this year. So it's not going to be as easy to track people, you know. So now, whereas, you know, an advertiser can make a lookalike audience off of AllHipHop and follow Hakeem from AllHipHop to another website and, you know, pay another website to target you or retarget you. You know, the brands that are able to collect this information on their own or niche audiences like AllHipHop are finally going to, you know, be considered more premium, if you will. You know, so, you know, there's a lot of data rules that are changing. I think I'll be the first to say, I think Google is going to get broke up.
Really?
I think Facebook is, but, you know, we have to see what stance the new administration, you know, has on them. But, you know, I can tell you from working with them every day that they're monopolies, you know, and, you know, they do great harm to small businesses, you know, around the world.
The average person has no idea when we say monopoly, what that is and what are the implications, you know, on our daily lives. And I think it's important for people to understand that, you know, the antitrust laws that were set in place, you know, over the last 100 or so years to keep corporations at bay, because corporations, when they become behemoths like they are, they become adversarial to the people. And we have to look out for the rights of the people and fair competition and those types of things. So that's my little spiel on, you know, the importance of not having monopolies like Facebook and Google and the such. That's interesting.
I think we're going to see an explosion in virtual reality, VR. You know, we're going to be early adopters in that. You know, creating new worlds outside of this reality that we have here. You know, I think artificial intelligence is going to have an impact on everything from journalism to, you know, to making houses, 3D printing, and you know.
They're making 3D houses. They're printing houses in upstate New York. They're literally doing that. Okay, I'm one of those Zillow guys. Okay, shamelessly, but yeah, they're 200 grand, 300 upstate New York, man, crazy.
3D. I mean, what's the material? I mean, what's like
normal material,
sheetrock and wood and
all normal materials. It's just a machine.
The machine just print it out, and I go.
Just like a 3D printer might make you, you know, your wood piece or whatever you're carving out.
Yeah,
you know, they're doing it with houses.
Wow.
You know, think about what that has. Think about the impact that has on a number of levels, from jobs that are going to be gone. Although now people can have affordable housing and don't have to have a homeless problem in the United States, because now you can make a house in 9 hours.
Yeah,
as long as it takes the cement to dry.
Yeah, and the material cost, you said what, 200 grand for what? For
between 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
I don't know.
But in Mexico,
the bedroom was like I'm talking in terms of the cost of the material 3D printed. Is it cheaper than Of course it is, because of man hours. One is erased, but the you know, sometimes technology comes in.
Well, let me say this. In the
You know what I mean?
Yeah, in the case of the one in upstate New York, you know, that's commercial real estate. You know, that one goes for 300,000 because they're trying to flip it and make a profit.
Right.
Over in Mexico, they're building a whole development of affordable housing for people who make, you know, less than $3 a day.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's going to have great implications around the world on how, you know, speaking on housing and technology, and, you know, how it's built.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of what we do, tech, you know, I think that, you know, we're going to see more virtual reality. I think hip hop is going to move into that space, you know. So, you know, when we're done here, you know, we might go up into the Queensbridge housing projects in a VR setting and go to a block party, hang out with our friends, you know, do whatever we do there, meet new people, networking, and then come back to our real reality.
That reminds me of the Bruce Willis movie,
The Sixth Element.
Not The Sixth Element. Yeah, that's The Fifth Element. Not that one. It's a movie. It's him and Boris, what's her face? That's married to the pretty sister.
Oh yeah, Boris.
Kojo,
right? Boris Kojo, right? So in the movie, they're all hooked up to VR machines, right? But they're like 80 years old, 90 years old, body all like atrophied, no muscles, wrinkled, just looking crazy, right? But in the real world or the fake world, they have these what do you call it? You call it avatars that are like 25 years old and buff, running around in a. But that reminds me of being in a virtual world where we can all do a virtual setting where we're in our individual locations, but in 3D in the setting, having the experience.
Bro, listen, on February 25th, we're hosting a virtual party with Grandmaster Kaz and Eric B in a virtual world, a virtual block party.
I'm saying.
You know what I mean? It's there. All you need is a pair of Oculus, which is owned by Facebook, you know. And
going all the way up too, by the way.
And that's what we mean by monopoly.
That's what I mean by monopoly.
See, that's scary because Facebook now owns the experience here, but it also owns your experience here.
Yeah.
They control your experience.
And it also goes beyond that, you know. When you walk to the store, you go into the store and swipe your credit card to buy your blunts. You know, that information is filtering up from location data. You're at the gas station, the purchase data from your credit card company, you know, goes to your healthcare company. And now they know, you know, you're smoking and your healthcare rates can go up or be canceled, or, you know, all of this information. Even the Capitol rioters, you know, is brought into this question or this debate. You know, they tracked down most of the people storming the Capitol by using their location data.
Of course.
But they didn't need a warrant to do that. They didn't need, you know, anything other than saying, give me the data from the phone companies. And, you know, so all of these privacy laws and all of these things are all going to start, you know, changing everything. I mean, you know, think about, you know, what it means for Facebook, where you can be online and, or an app like Gab or Parler, where a lot of these, you know, right-wing extremists gathered, unencrypted. You know, you can find this data, you can see what they're talking about, at least you know. Now they're moving to apps like Telegram and Signal, which is encrypted end to end, you know.
Yes.
So I mean, you know,
so you can build these communities in private.
You can build them in private
without interference. Yeah.
And now you have this issue of, you know, misinformation spreading so fast through Twitter, Facebook. You know, these are real problems that are going to be addressed by the government. And now you're in the murky waters of free speech. And how far does it become government controlled media? What does that mean to the Constitution? You know, and you know, free speech, you know, because you just can't say anything, but where is the line?
Well, yeah, but see, here's the thing about free speech, right? You can freely speak. You can go out and you can freely speak. But, we, i.e. the government, don't necessarily have to be the platform in which you get to speak. We don't no one's obligated to provide you a platform to speak.
Yeah, but when you get to the point of scale and these places become more like town halls or town squares, the public arena, for instance, a congressman or woman can't block somebody on Twitter. It's illegal, because you're a public servant, you're in a public area or publicly speaking, and you can't block a constituent. They're suing Marjorie Greene now for blocking people, and Donald Trump was sued for trying to block people whose opinion he disagreed with. Now Twitter
can block you,
shut
you down, right? Because Twitter is not obligated to provide you a platform.
But that's only because of the law, which even AllHipHop benefits from. Where it says, hey, listen, we indemnify ourselves from this person speaking, and if you join our community and you sign up and you hit the I agree button, that's what you're agreeing to. So that's where I'm going with it, though, is like, okay, if Twitter can be the end all and block you, but the president of the United States can't because of his public role, where do these companies have too much power? And that's what I'm saying. Twitter, Facebook, Google, they're monopolies.
Not that we're trying to argue this right now, but you got put up such an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
but it goes to the reality of not reality. Like, we've made unreality the reality because you're dealing, like, you're fighting for rights with, it's not even real. You're talking about rights in an unreal paradigm. Your consciousness is being sucked into this thing. Like, your real rights are out here, but anyway, yeah. So yeah.
No. Listen, I agree with you 100%. I think the problem is just how fast the alternate world spreads and bleeds into the real world.
That's dope.
And where is the balance? Where is the balance struck between the government being able to regulate this or, control it versus, hey, I've got the right to have this opinion and believe what I believe. And, how the big problem is that it's the misinformation, and how these companies actually do make money off of it. Facebook is feeding you what you like or what you agree with. Instagram is showing you what you are into. What I see on Instagram is totally different than probably what both of you guys see, and so, getting caught up in this echo chamber, I'm just saying they all have real world consequences, as we saw on January 6th.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I bring all that to say, I'm looping it all back to say that I do think at some point we're going to see a radically different form of social media. It's not going to be the Twitter and the Facebook models over the next 5 years. Wow. Those are going to go the way of MySpace.
Wow, dope. That's crazy. Before I let you guys go, we keeping up on 2 hours. I appreciate your time. You got a KRS-One interview about to drop? Yeah, give me a little
3 hours. 3 hours of KRS-One, bro. It could have went probably 3 more. The way that was going.
Really,
it's incredible.
It was crazy. I had to stop KRS-One. I'm not saying I could, like, we had to stop at that point, and that was just weird. I'm like, I never see myself doing that, but we had to. But it's all love, man. I mean,
knowledge reigns supreme, bro. Knowledge reigns supreme.
I mean, I'm sorry, Chuck.
It's just like it doesn't end. It just doesn't end. You know what I'm saying? Like we just could have. It doesn't end. Like the things that we covered, we literally could have kept going endlessly in that interview.
I'll say this. I personally believe after that 3-hour interview, after listening to him, that he is the most brilliant person in hip hop ever. I mean, you know, the level of articulation, the knowledge of philosophy, you know, obviously the love of hip hop. I mean, I hung up when we finally finished. I was just like, you know, I was completely blown away, you know.
And the thing is, and the sad thing is, you know, the environment that we in, where Instagram has you, you know, putting for the most part the content in 1 minute, 5 minutes is a long time. I'm like, what are we gonna do with this 3 hours? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna run it, the whole thing, and then we'll break it down from there. But we're gonna run it in full first, out of respect for the conversation, out of respect for him, and then we'll break it down. But I mean, it was an incredible talk, and I don't even. It's like I gotta rewatch it. You know, I gotta rewatch it to really remember everything. But I hope people watch it, and you know, this is where it goes back somewhat to the Eminem conversation. And well, it's not the Eminem conversation, but it's the appreciation conversation. It's the ageism conversation. It's the intelligence conversation. There's so many conversations, and I just hope that, you know, we are able to fully appreciate KRS-One and others like him that are so much more than an album, so much more than a song, and have continued. Yo, KRS-One said one thing. This wasn't really 100% true, but musically it was. He was like, I only rap. Like this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? He was challenging other MCs. And he was like, you know, I mean, when we get to the interview, it's gonna be interesting, the response. But I felt him. He was like, I don't produce. I do this.
Well, that's not all the way true, because he does produce. He produced he produced Madism. He produced half my album. He produced
some stuff. Steady B,
B's, Just Ice. He's done. He
doesn't do that too much now. You know,
we've talked about that too, and I'm like, dude, you come on, bro. He got a particular sound that's so just hip hop, like the essence of boom bap. Like it's.
His new album is crazy. 23rd album is nuts. But he was saying, you know, I think what he was trying to say was, you know, hip hop, whatever he's doing, he's like, this hip hop thing, I do this. Like I do it. And he's like, you know, he said, you know, you might put your hand on the stove and get burned and you learn. He said, you put your hand on my stove and get burned, you're gonna lose your arm. I said, damn. He said, I am the flame. Flame.
Chuck, did you hear the cipher?
Of course. It's still in my open tabs. Still in my open tabs, bro. Yeah.
Yo, this dude is an animal, yo.
Yeah.
He's 55. He's 55 years old, and don't nobody want it. Don't nobody
wants it. Because he's the guy who will not stop. You know, it's like a pit bull or something. You know, he won't stop. So you don't even go there. You don't even go there because you know he won't stop.
He won't stop.
You know what I mean? You know he's got books and books and books.
We did this album with True Master, Metahistorical. Y'all need to look that up. So Chris recorded in 2 days, recorded the whole album 2 days. It was like a book bag with all these Mead notebooks. So he had writing on the front page and the back page of every page in every book in this book bag. Every line represented 16 bars. So down the page, you just 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars. Each 2 bars represents a 16. The 2 bars is just a trigger to 16.
Oh my God.
A book bag full of mead notebooks, all filled up front and back.
You said the 2 bars is the trigger
for the 16.
Yo, that's crazy. Oh my God.
That's
Yo,
scary.
if you never rapped before, you're not an MC, they're gonna miss that right there. But the 2 bars is the trigger.
It's the trigger
for 16.
16.
And that's like 700 bars on one
each
page.
2 bars represents a whole nother 16.
Oh
He got whole rhymes for every MC in the game. He got a rhyme for you. He got rhymes for you. Like if anybody ever go left, he got rhymes for you.
Oh my goodness. That's a master of masters, boy. Woo! Read Robert Greene's Mastery. Just for a glimpse.
Yo, man. So but listen. Y'all, I had y'all for 2 hours. It's 6:30 right now. And I gotta have y'all back on. So I need to save some content for the next John. So we go another 2 hours. But I just want to salute you guys, Grouchy Greg, you know what I'm saying? Jigsaw, Chuck Creekmur,
thank you.
AllHipHop.com. Like just your importance to hip-hop culture. Hashtag hip-hop nobody rapping, even though we got 2 MCs in the building. We're talking about hip-hop expressed differently culturally, where you can build a business around your creativity and really, build something for the people. And I salute both of you gentlemen. Thank you for coming on Madism TV. Any final words before you bounce out? Any final words?
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. Make sure you check out All Hip Hop. We got another relaunch coming up. We're preparing ourselves for the next 20 years. Yeah. Stay safe out there. It's wild times, and try not to catch COVID.
That's right.
Yeah, I just want to say also, man, I appreciate this interview. I want to say, we are hip hop history as well, just like the rappers, just like the DJs we love, just like, others as well. We're a part of the history. Mm-hmm. And I don't want us to be written out. I want us to be included. I want us to be a part of the stories. I want people to know we helped this MC and that MC and that breakdancer and that DJ, and we really put our all into actually helping people. And I don't like the thought that our contributions are overlooked or not appreciated. So I just want to say that our goals also moving forward will be, solidifying that legacy, solidifying our contributions, putting them into the museums and things as well, because I think that's important. And shout out to people like Ice-T, Mick Benzo. Those guys are helping us get into the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Yo, big shout out to Rocky Bucano, who's going to be a guest up on the show coming up real soon. Actually, in the next few days, we're going to have him on the show. So big shout out to him. Yeah.
But thank you. That's my final word.
Yo, respect. Yes, this is Madism TV. Your boy Hakeem Green, channel live and direct, BDP all day, every month. All we do is spark Madism. Signing out. Yeah, love you guys. Peace.
Love you, brother. Peace.